Following pressure from the Trump administration, we have executed on what will be referred to in the history books as the please God, let Riley Gaines get shut the fuck up. Please let her shut the fuck up. Make her shut up act. As per the Department of Education's announcement, under UPenn's new agreement, the following actions will be taken. UPenn will restore to female athletes all individual UPenn Division I swimming records, titles, or other similar recognitions that were misappropriated by male athletes, allowing to compete in female categories. UPenn will issue a public statement to the university community stating that it will comply with Title IX, specifying that UPenn will not allow males to compete in female athletic programs or occupy Penn Athletics' female intimate facilities. The statement will specify that UPenn will adopt biology-based definitions for words male and female pursuant to Title IX and consistent with President Trump's executive orders defending women from gender ideology extremism and keeping men out of women's sports. And so on. So now, with Leah Thomas, the transgender woman swimmer who competed against Riley Gaines all those years ago, officially disqualified from participation, Riley Gaines ascends from 5th place, where she has languished for years, to 5th place, because she was tied for 5th. She's still in 5th. Well done, everyone.
In sports, as UPenn agrees to follow President Trump's mandate.
It's too late. I have already portrayed myself as the calm, stoic, athletically successful trans woman, and you as the disgusting, wretched, orange spray tan-addled gremlin creature, Riley Gaines.
And ban transgender women from female sports teams. The Ivy League school will also revoke trans swimmer Leah Thomas of her titles, and all female athletes displaced by Thomas will be reinstated and get a written apology from the school. Thomas's former teammates. We have Margot Kaczorowski. We also have Ellen Holmquist. They've both filed a lawsuit against the university earlier this year, and they're also joined by their attorney, Bill Bott. Good morning to all of you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, Margot, I'll start with you because you were in 2 of the same events as Leah Thomas. You were denied your win because Leah was competing, your recognition. So how does this new news affect you?
Yeah, so I try to think about it more on like a broader scale because I'm really not doing this for myself or anything. What I went through was hard enough.
I'd like to apologize on behalf of the Polish people for this woman.
But really, I'm doing this for the future generation of girls to go through the program, to go through D1 athletics, and I really want just what's best for them. So I would like for women's rights to be upheld to the utmost standard. And for
you think they would find like ugly photos of Leah Thomas, considering how malicious this administration has become? You really would think Fox and Friends would be like surely there are video interviews or something where you could use you can get an ugly photo of literally anyone, you know? I don't know. Not all the mogging photos.
Those titles and records to come down.
Is this enough for you, what they did?
It's a good starting point, and I'm really grateful for the Trump administration and what they are doing to protect women, but there's so much more to go. They wouldn't be doing this without the federal government forcing them. So I think we have a long way to go to make sure that women's rights are upheld and policies are in place to ensure the verification process that it's only females in women's sports.
Okay. Now, Ellen, you were left off the 2022 Ivy Championship team roster because Leah Thomas participated. You missed.
Have you considered being better? See, if you were left off the team roster, that probably means that you lost. Have you considered winning?
That by 1 spot. So this latest news doesn't mean that you're competing again. It doesn't mean that can change that. How do you feel?
I think this is a good step in the right direction. Like Margot said, I'm really doing this for future Penn swimmers, future young girls that want to compete in college sports and make sure that this situation that happened to me never happens to someone else in the future. But there are still a lot of steps that need to be taken by Penn and other universities that have been going down this path. So,
you know what's interesting? Despite this being literally the please God Riley Gaines stop being annoying on Twitter bill or whatever act push, Riley Gaines has been super quiet on social media. It's kind of weird from July 1st. And then she retweeted this video from the White House talking about...
My name is Paula Scandlin, and I'm a former swimmer from the University of Pennsylvania. My name is Riley Gaines. I was a swimmer at the University of Kentucky.
Is this a cuff, or do you just... Nothing.
I was permanently injured at the hands of a man when I was forced to play against him in a high school volleyball game.
Okay. Girl.
I was forced to compete against a biological male on my middle school track team.
Middle school. Can you imagine, like... I don't know. It's like grooming, dude. Because they... Can you imagine, like, a middle school girl, like, middle school athletics? Like, we're talking about, like, 80-pound, 5-foot-tall, nothing people. They're in middle school. And then you lose because there's a trans chick there. And then some White House envoy or Fox News reporter or whatever is like, hey, do you want to make money? It's f***ing crazy.
Compete against 2 biological males throughout all 4 years of high school. Trump's admin and the Department of Education have gotten the University of Pennsylvania not just to apologize for what they did to me and other female athletes that were forced to compete against and alongside this male athlete, but they also got them to change their policies and to take down his records on the board, which is a great win.
The stories we heard brought tears to all of our eyes. It was powerful. It was moving.
There's a lesson to be learned from this, though, I think, in terms of rhetoric. Remember how one of the strongest moments of the DNC was when they brought on those women who had been affected by the abortion bans? And it was, like, really, actually, like, I think quite captivating TV, what they did there, the way they presented that. The important thing to understand is that you can't just do that at the DNC. You do that 24/7. You should have a nonstop cavalcade of people entering the White House to get little video interviews to talk about how they have been personally victimized by Republicans and by Republican policy. And you have to be vindictive about it too. You can't just say like, oh, well, you know, I lost Medicaid coverage thanks to Big Beautiful Bill. No one gives a shit. Okay, whatever, die. All right. What people do care about, or what people will care about, you need to run like a vindictive campaign against Republicans. All right. It's not enough. Every ICE agent, every cop, a Republican who's belligerent at a rally, any racist you encounter, run against all of them, okay? Remind people how disgusting Republicans really are. You have to keep that message strong.
I'm so excited for the announcement from Secretary McMahon and President Trump today as they stand at the forefront of this issue for women and girls everywhere. And I am so thankful that we finally have an administration in office who is willing to stand up and ensure that no other girl has to experience.
Yeah, all right. Biologically male outfit, by the way. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, and Riley Gaines retweeted this post from Outkick where she talks about the UPenn decision. And then one tweet where she quote tweets the Babylon Bee. Doesn't anyone think it's weird she hasn't made a post herself? Not a real one? I don't know. Maybe she's like waiting for something. Like, girl, this is what you've been fighting for. You're in 5th place now. Yeah, it's the same as before, but at least you're not tied for 5th place. She doesn't have a narrative. She does have a narrative. She has the same narrative she's been going with for like 5 years. So is your opinion still that because of the physical impact of transition, trans women don't have an unfair advantage? Yeah, literally, there's been no evidence that I've seen to the contrary. I know that it's gotten unpopular to defend that point, but I literally have not seen any evidence indicating that's the case. If you've been transitioning for like 2 years or so, like hormone transitioning, whatever, there does not seem to be any demonstrated average athletic advantage, you know? If you have a male athlete who takes hormones for 2 years, like, you know, estrogen for 2 years, androgen blockers, whatever, you are degrading your physical strength by an extreme amount. Like estrogen and androgen blockers are, there's a reason why we're better at sports, okay? That's all I'm saying. There's a reason why we're better at sports. So if you're taking the drugs that make you fucking shit at doing physical things, yeah, you know? Look, I'm open. I'm open on the evidence. It's just no evidence has been supplied. Genuinely, every time Republicans come up with some new gotcha on this, it's a nothing burger, or they're like deliberately misrepresenting the evidence. And it's not like there haven't been studies. If it turns out, oh no, it needs to be 3 years, it needs to be 5 years. Okay. If it turns out like there actually is a statistical advantage for transgender women competing against cis women, even after a significant time spent transitioning, I'll put my hands up in the air. I'll say, okay, they should compete separately. It's unfair, but it would be unfair in either direction. And if you're going to be unfair in either direction, you should be unfair in the direction that impacts the status quo less, right? I mean, it sucks, but in that case, it seems like it'd be a lot of work for a little gain. You try to, like, work that in despite the bias. Women should just toughen up, I don't know. Yeah, well, that's probably also true. They're so whiny. What about height and broader shoulders from male puberty? I mean, that doesn't necessarily translate into better performance, but also there are cis women who also have, like, greater height and wider shoulders, you know? Look, you can look at this. It's been a while since I've clamored over the evidence. I'm just saying I'm not really like a zealot on this. I just haven't seen any compelling evidence. Intuition suggests that trans women would have an advantage, but I just did not arrive at that conclusion. And look, you know me. You know I would have no trouble going, I'm not really sure I'm bought in on that. We're not exactly, like, big on the in-group hug box bullshit here. You know perfectly well that if I saw meaningful evidence, I'd be like, well, you know, okay, it doesn't really affect my fundamental support for trans people. It's just like, this is like a logistical thing, you know? Yeah, you used to say that? Yeah. Well, because I used to be engaging with it on intuition rather than on the data.
We turn now to another major university reaching a deal with the Trump administration, this time concerning transgender athletes.
This morning, the University of Pennsylvania reversing course, saying it will now ban transgender athletes and strip trans swimmer Leah Thomas of her swimming titles. The school reaching a deal with the Trump administration, saying it will comply with Title IX, as interpreted by the Department of Education, and saying it will restore the records and titles of female athletes who lost to Thomas and send apology letters to them.
The goddamn Riley Gaines bill.
Thomas pulling away. Leah Thomas made history in 2022, becoming the first openly transgender athlete to win an NCAA Division I title. The win sparked fierce debate over fairness, including from some of Thomas's own teammates.
I knew there would be scrutiny against me if I competed as a woman. I was prepared for that.
The Trump administration earlier this year suspended 175.
Probably not prepared for, like, the full weight of a fascist presidency bearing down on you, I'll admit. It's pretty difficult to prepare for that one. That's a rough one.
$5 million in federal funds from Penn, claiming the University of Pennsylvania repeatedly violated civil rights laws by allowing men to compete in women's sports. Education Secretary Linda McMahon calling Penn's new agreement a major victory for women and girls nationwide. No comment yet from the NCAA or Leah Thomas, but in a 2022 interview, she defended her decision to compete.
Trans people don't transition for athletics. We just want to be able to live our lives.
The NCAA still recognizes her championship win, but Penn has removed her swimming records from its website.
Nice. Fox Business. Oh, Fox Business seems to be angry that UPenn has explicitly not apologized for the title received by Leah Thomas, because UPenn is arguing that it was in compliance with Title IX as its rules were at the time. Which is true.
The University of Pennsylvania doing the walk of shame, crawling out of the woodwork to admit that it was wrong and the way it handled.
Dog, look at my business channel. I'm losing money on my investments for sure.
Female sports 3 years ago with transgender swimmer Leah Thomas.
The Department of Education announcing that University of Pennsylvania has agreed to resolve Title IX violations. That deal includes defining male and female by biological sex, reinstating strip titles and records to female athletes, and get this, issue personal apologies to every impacted swimmer.
I have been seeing a lot of larger, like, liberal-leaning accounts on Twitter referring to cis women as biological women, which has been irking me the wrong way. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, I know you can't say cis on Twitter, but you can use, like, the I with, like, a little dash or something or whatever. I don't know.
Including former University of Pennsylvania swimmer Paula Scandlin. She joins us.
They really all do look the same, don't they? Like, Republican women always just emit this, or it's the orange, it's the minuscule cross necklace, it's the I'm sorry. Just like they never serve. I mean that. It's not even a phrenology thing. I'm not even talking about the shape of their face, which of course naturally exudes evil and criminality. I'm talking about just like serving.
Now, Paula, great to see you. Your reaction to this from the University of Pennsylvania. Have you heard from them?
I have not quite yet heard from them. I received, actually, just before coming on here, an email from the athletic department. It seemed to be a generic email to all student athletes.
Why are you talking like that at me? Why are you talking at me?
Just addressing the situation and describing the fact that they weren't in the wrong back then, but they understand that they are now. That is no form of apology to me whatsoever.
They didn't even say that, by the way. They didn't say they understand they're wrong now. They just said they're changing their guidelines to better reflect the changes made by Trump.
Another one should be still coming, but really, I mean, what I've seen from this is they're trying to just say, well, we were following the rules then and we're trying to follow the rules now. Don't be mad at us.
So the sincerity is lacking here. I mean, they're being forced to do this, but you're right. A sincere apology comes from the heart that they learned. And do you get the medals and things that you won, the trophies? Are those going to be stripped away? And do you get what you actually earned, despite there being a male with junk jumping in the pool with y'all?
You know, it's very hard to rectify these things. And again, how do you walk back? Okay, well, maybe if he didn't compete, someone else would have been able to attend this championship. I mean, there's so many things that are not covered from simply an apology and fixing the record boards. But the one thing I will say is I am grateful to the Trump administration for standing so strong on this. And it shows how strong they are in their leadership, that this issue has been able to come the way it has. I mean, we've seen a major university bend the knee here. This is historic. This is something we've never seen before. And I really hope this is just the start and we see more coming. I mean, I would love to see Harvard crawl back and apologize for some of the things they've done wrong too.
Isn't it crazy that like honestly, you know what? Isn't it crazy that Obama could have done this? Obama had so much more of a cultural mandate than Trump has ever had. Like, if Obama kept the energy from 2008 running into the presidency and then really kept it going with a nonstop rally, he could have done, like, every power that Trump is exhibiting now, Obama had the ability to exhibit then. In truth, presidents have always been able to do this as long as you have enough public backing, as long as either the people or the capital class support you. But, you know, you only see this shit. Those were the before times. You know, I understand things are different now. I don't think the next Democrat we see is going to do this.
Paula, to your point, it doesn't take back them never asking your consent to force you to accept a naked man in your locker room or to compete against a man against who you did not have the same biology. It doesn't take any of that back. But do you think that it will force other universities or even other school systems, even secondary school systems, to stop?
What's wrong with these people? They don't have arguments, so they use emotions like disgust or outrage. I mean, it's not really like new or anything, but that's the reason why whenever they talk about trans women, they're like, this dicked man penis. They always, it's because, I mean, it's where their minds are too, but the psychosexual animosity is way more effective at motivating these people to vote than like whether or not their grandma's going to die of being kicked off Medicaid.
Stop treating women the way they do, to stop treating girls the way that they do.
I certainly hope so. I think the biggest takeaway is this is a major university. People look to the Ivy Leagues for leadership. I don't think that they should. I mean, I went there and I saw firsthand that we should not put them on a pedestal. But people in this country do. And so I think I want to see the downstream effect. I want to see the high schools. I want to see the middle schools say, we can't do this. We're going to be in trouble if we allow this to happen. And I'm so grateful, again, for the Trump administration for taking this stance. And I hope to see widespread change across this country.
Oh, look, between you and Riley Gaines and others standing firm and actually making this case, and you're right, the Trump administration making an issue, it actually is changing the trajectory for women in the future. And thank goodness that you're willing to take that stand. Right. Anything else you want them to know and expect from the university?
You know, I think I want to see them continue on these promises. I think an apology is really only the first step, but I think it's a great win, and I'm excited to see what they have to say to me, and I will...
You know, they keep alluding to this being the first step. So what's after this? The titles have been stripped and reinstated. They've changed their policies in compliance with Trump's executive order. Like, what's the next step? I can't believe I wasted so much time like 2 years ago arguing with people over whether or not transgenocide was legitimate, deserved rhetoric, when it's so obvious that the complete eradication of trans people as a social class is the end goal of every single one of their policies and instances of rhetoric, you know? Like, they're not pretending the way they used to about, like, oh, no, as long as you're like Blair White. Dude, Blair White's not going up there having meetings in the White House or whatever, okay? That was an older time when they were pretending. They're not doing that shit anymore.
Definitely keep you guys posted on that, but just really the accountability. I want to see change in this country, and more than anything else, this cannot happen to any other female athlete in this country, no matter how old she is, and I'm grateful to be part of that change.
Really quickly, Paula, I'm cynical. Did they just do it for the money?
You know, that's something we have to look at, right? The University of Pennsylvania had federal funds pulled by the Trump administration. This seems to be a direct response to that. And of course, it's always follow the money. That is always the answer. And of course, you should be cynical about this. Follow the money, but that's how you get things done. And so if that was the way to get them to come to the table and bend the knee, I'd say I support the Trump administration in doing that and continue to do.
Okay, wait. I think there was a lost communication there. What the host was insinuating was that the only reason UPenn ever tolerated trans female athletes was for the money, like the deep state was paying them. But this idiot thought what she meant was, well, the only reason they capitulated is because Trump threatened to cut their federal funding, which, yeah, that's kind of that's like holding a person up at gunpoint when they give you the wallet. You're like, do you think they only gave us the wallet because of the gun? Like obviously, yeah. But she doesn't understand what's being insinuated. The host is trying to do like a deep state thing.
Do that. Pull funds from every university that's doing this.
If they when they call you to apologize, assuming they will, say, okay, yes, I will accept your apology, but you have to do it at the White House publicly. At an event
I would love
with
that.
cameras.
I would love that.
Paula Scandlin.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Paula Scandlin, thank you so much for joining us. Really do.
That's great. Man, biological females sure are annoying, huh? Sorry. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, deeply evil people. But UPenn is not, at least at this time, apologizing. And it's a lot of fuss over literally like a woman being moved from 5th place to 5th place. Leah Thomas is... I don't know what Leah Thomas is currently up to, actually. Does Leah Thomas have, like, a Twitter? Happy married lady. By the way, I am not the trans swimmer. Thank you, Leah Thomas 1 on Twitter. I appreciate you clarifying that. Ah, that's nice. Athlete advocate speaking inquiries, first openly transgender athlete. I found her Insta, and it seems like she's chilling. See? She's posting like fantasy art and stuff. That's nice. Hopefully, and I'm being a little naive when I say this, right? But hopefully Leah Thomas you know, she gets a text and the text is like, "Did you hear?" And Leah Thomas is like, "Oh, okay." And then she goes back to drawing pretty ladies or whatever. You know? I mean, whatever. Oh, did you hear that your title's been revoked? Okay, everyone. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Leah Thomas was at Aaron's wedding. Aaron Reed? Is that true? That's pretty fucking cool. I didn't know that. Aaron Reed really is like the pinnacle trans journalist activist, right?